Hi, I'm Brian Dean from Amulet Studios. Are you using Unreal for cinematics? In this video, I'm going to reveal a component that might be missing from your workflow. This is a technique used by all the big studios, but it's often overlooked by Unreal users. So stay tuned and find out what it is. Okay, so if you read the title screen, you'll know the secret component is compositing. Now, I've got about 20 years of experience as a lighter in the animation industry, and compositing is used heavily in the lighting process for animated feature films. The reason being that offline rendering is very slow. It can take hours to render just a single frame. And to avoid time-consuming re-renders, changes are often made in the comp with software such as Nuke. But Unreal renders are so much faster that it really isn't a big deal to just make the fix in your scene and then just re-render the shot. So because of this, compositing isn't as critical, and for a long time it was something that I didn't bother with at all in any of my Unreal work. But as I've been exploring production techniques and trying to figure out how to get the best possible images with Unreal, I've realized it was time to start incorporating compositing back into the mix. Even though it's so quick and easy to get the look you want in the Unreal editor before you render, there are still plenty of times when compositing can be very handy. Let me show you one example in my last cinematic where compositing saved me a lot of time. In this example, I have a shot with a character wearing clothes that were created and simmed in Marvelous Designer. My final 4K frames finished rendering and I started getting them into the edit. And then I noticed this. All right, I've got my shot updated here. And what the? Dude, what? Are you? I can't believe it, man. What the? What is going on with this? There was a frame or two where the body was penetrating through the clothing. Now this would need to be fixed. And this isn't just a case of going into Unreal and making a change and then rerunning the frames. Fixing this would require going out of the engine all the way back to Marvelous Designer. It would involve fixing the problem, then rerunning the sim, exporting the Alembic cache, importing that into Unreal, updating my shot, and then re-rendering the final 4K frames. This could have taken anywhere from an hour to an afternoon to a whole day, depending on how long it would take to fix the problem and then rerun the sim in Marvelous Designer. So I could have gone through that process and done all that, or maybe I could have tried to painstakingly paint that one frame in Photoshop, although paint fixes of that magnitude are difficult to get just right so that there isn't any noticeable popping on playback. Or I could just use Fusion, which is the compositing software built into DaVinci Resolve, and fix it in 15 seconds, like this. All right, so let's get to fixing it. So let's go, I'm gonna get a node, frame replacer, add. I'm gonna drop this in here. Set this to optical flow, fixed, done. So let's get into what I actually did here and let's explain this. So first of all, this frame replace node, there's different settings here which you can use. Now, if I just turn this off, in fact, I'll just delete it. This is my original frame. Now, if we look at the frames surrounding it, they look okay. And there really isn't a lot of motion in this part of the frame. In fact, really the only motion we're seeing here is camera motion. So this works very well for this type of approach. And this is the thing about compositing. When you start to know these tricks, then when you see something like this, you'll know what fixes might work and might not work. And you can easily address things like this. So let me just drop in. We'll just go through this again. I'm going to hit Control Space, and that brings up my select tool. And I can type in, just find the frame replacer. I'm going to add that in and it drops it right in here. So now these are my options here. We have blend, from previous, from next, and optical flow. So we'll just go through each one of them to see what it does. So first of all, we'll keep it on the preset, which is blend, previous, and next. This is basically just going to do a frame dissolve. And if I hit replace this frame, now what we're getting is the previous and following frame blended together. And when I hit replace this frame, it's only affecting the one frame that I've selected, so just this frame. Now, you can see that's not going to work. So let's try some of the other ones. If I use from previous, what this is basically going to do is just duplicate the previous frame. So if you can see here, when I go back to the previous frame, it doesn't change because it's essentially just holding that frame. Now that's not really going to work either because we feel that little stutter. And the same thing will happen if I do from next. It's just going to hold the following frame. So you can see here, I'm advancing back and forth and it's not shifting. And that's really not what we want either. Now, unlike blend, which is just basically a cross dissolve between two frames, optical flow will actually create a brand new frame. And so we can see this is a perfect case for something like this. It works perfectly to fix this kind of problem. And with one click of a button, we have a perfect fix. Now, there is some more work that we would have to be done because if we take a look here, if we just go to some other parts of the image and I disable this and enable it, you can see it's doing a lot of blending all throughout the entire frame. And we don't really want that. Because you can see here, it's doing some weird things. We don't really need or want that. So we really just want to isolate it to this area right here. So what we can do is, if we just add in a mask and plug this into our node here, we can simply just select the area that we want to fix. And now we're isolating the fix to this area. And then if we want, we can maybe soften it a little bit and just expand the edges. And now if you see, it's being isolated to just that one area. And that's much better. So now if we play through our frame, we don't even see it. It's a perfect fix. Now, this is obviously an extreme example. Very rarely will a comp fix be this simple and easy, but this clearly illustrates how sometimes render issues are more easily addressed in the comp. And render issues happen all the time, whether it's using Arnold or RenderMan or Unreal. It's something you'll always encounter with CG, but compositing doesn't have to be about fixing render problems. It can also be used to achieve things visually that might be easier to tweak in the comp or might not be otherwise possible in the raw render. Unreal offers the ability to render out some various render passes, and one of them being cryptomats. Cryptomats will allow you to generate masks that you can use in the comp. Now you can generate these masks based on the different materials or different actors, different folders, different layers. Which one is best for you is dependent on how you intend to use the masks and what you need them for. In this example, I rendered out a cryptomat for actors. So each actor in my scene was assigned a unique mask. The one problem with this technique is that all the foliage in my scene are considered one actor, and so they're all assigned the same mask. Having these masks allows you to make changes in the comp. Now, you don't want to go too far with any of these adjustments, as this can lead to problems like matte lines, so it's best to use for subtle changes, but you can see how things can be tweaked just a little bit here and there in the comp without going back to Unreal for a full re-render. And this is really useful when you're just trying to get that last bit of polish on a shot and just take it to that next level. Now, there are several options available for compositing work, such as After Effects, Fusion, and Nuke. Fusion and Nuke are probably best suited for this type of work as they are node-based, whereas After Effects is more layer-based. Fusion is built into DaVinci Resolve, which I already have for my editing and color grading. So these comp fixes can be done right in the editor by simply opening up the Fusion tab. I think it's safe to say that Fusion isn't as good as Nuke, but it's very capable and it's very convenient since it is built right into Resolve. And it's also much cheaper than Nuke. Now, I can't go over every possible method and fix for every problem you might face. Each problem is unique, and it's practically limitless how many different ways compositing could be used to solve various different problems you might face or enhance the look of your shots. The only way to know if a comp approach is a viable solution for any given problem is to have a basic understanding of compositing and the techniques involved. Now, I'm not going to say that compositing is a silver bullet that's going to fix every problem in 15 seconds, and it won't make every shot look better. However, as shown in this example, it can still save you tons of time, and it is a skill worth having. So that's all I've got for this video. I hope you found it interesting, and if you did, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and then don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any future videos.